Okay, so here I'm going to react to a video by Michael Knowles. That is obviously something that triggered me, and I saw it the other day, but it's just a short. It's basically, this is what happens with certain people, even Charlie Kirk, rest in peace, or some of these other commentators. They'll use the word objective or absolute or inherent wrong. There's also that Cliff guy. Cliff, his last name starts with a K, who's like a big Christian speaker. These people will always use the word objective to just reinforce what they believe or what they want to be the case, right? But that's not actually what the word objective means. So this is kind of annoying because he's going to say OnlyFans is objectively wrong, but then that's not what objective means. Okay, so let's just watch it once.
Objectively bad in your eyes?
Yeah, for sure.
Not in my eyes, so it's not objective.
Just because you're wrong about something doesn't mean it's not objective.
See, like right and wrong by definition are not objective because again, so let's look at it this way. The power of the word objective by definition, let's defer to Google because obviously people don't know what the word objective means. So objective means of a person or their judgment, not influenced by personal feelings or opinions in considering and representing facts. So your opinion, right? He maybe even says that. What does he say exactly? Just because you're wrong.
Just because you're wrong about something doesn't.
So the fact that he can be wrong about something or that you can be right about something, by definition, makes it subjective. Now, the whole fallacy with this is often, oh, that must mean you like OnlyFans or you agree with it or whatever specific is being discussed, right? Like morality being subjective. That doesn't mean you can't still do it. In fact, that's the whole reason why you do it so, so passionately or so, organized. Like we have laws and courts and police. We have all those things because we know it's not objective. That's why we have to do those things. So to try to use this false framing that, oh, that must mean you must be against it, or how could you not possibly agree with this, right? The fact that you have to agree with it shows you by your definition of objective already, right? It's very weak. So, okay, it can be objective. It can be objectively wrong, but it can still happen, right? It still exists. OnlyFans still exists. People still use it. The people who use it probably don't consider it wrong or it doesn't matter. And it's able to still exist. Similar things that existed before, similar things will exist after. I've heard from a friend. But I mean, obviously, what it really represents is just become ubiquitous with the human, urge and lust for for certain sexual gratification. So those things have existed from the beginning of time. So we're just trying to scapegoat it, and we make it ubiquitous with that. If it went offline tomorrow, there'd just be other sites for it. There are other sites for it. There's other resources for it, right? So it's the same outlet. It's something just in human nature that we don't want to acknowledge or we don't want to address directly. So we try to blame the influence and the resource. Like I would say it from this angle, that like I would never use something like that. So if everybody was like me, it wouldn't exist or it would starve out. So, but that's my subjective choice or opinion. Just like the people who use it are subjective. Like,
Mean it's not.
That's convenient.
Listen, 2 + 2 = 4. You talk to a 3-year-old kid, he might think 2 + 2 = 5.
see, that's totally different though, because that's at least a provable basis. You could have 5 sticks on a table and then you take away 2. So you can show that, okay, look, there's 5, and then you take away 2, and now there's 3. That has empirical basis and data to it, and it doesn't make a specific claim. That doesn't mean that, oh, you shouldn't take those 2 sticks, and that makes you a bad person, or oh, you should, it doesn't make a should statement, right? That OnlyFans should exist or shouldn't exist, or you should use it or you shouldn't use it, right? Those are like very loaded subjective claims. The mere observation of reality would be just, okay, OnlyFans exists. That's subjective. Or, you can identify something that is true, not something that you think should be the case. So again, the mathematical comparison is flawed because it doesn't make a claim. It makes an observation. That's the difference. Objectivity observes, whereas subjectivity claims or asserts or wants something, right? So you don't want anything or assert anything by saying, okay, there's 5 sticks here. You can measure it. You can show a picture. You can observe it. You can show scientific data. Then you take away 2 sticks. Now you can show, okay, there's 3 sticks. That's an objective piece of data that can be verified independently without any sort of subjective input.
That doesn't mean that we just throw our hands in the air and can't come to a conclusion.
There is a creator economy in OnlyFans with not only millions or 1.4 million girls participating, but even more millions of men. So
I want to ask the audience a quick question.
Yeah, so what about those people? You'll just say, oh, but those people are just wrong. They're objectively wrong. So again, your standard of objectivity then is so low, right? You just don't know the definition, or you're very caught up in your own bias and way of thinking. Your definition of objectivity is so weak that all it takes to defy some objective reality or truth is just people just do it anyway. People just don't care. So
Okay, for the guys in here, clap if you would want to see OnlyFans completely go away.
And I love this too. Like, he's not a stupid person. I've seen some of his videos, and he's actually pretty intelligent most of the time. But this is so stupid. So think about what's happening. We're using clapping and crowd hysteria and emotion, right? Clapping in an audience and booing and yelling and this kind of crowd mob mentality to determine objectivity. So objectivity is determined not by if enough people do something that makes it right or true, or if enough people, heckle you or public shame you. Like we see this in China with things like if enough people are in favor of something that makes it right or true, or again, if they attack you or shame you or ridicule you. That's not how objectivity works, right? That's the opposite of objectivity. Clapping or not clapping, or having a mass mob of people, right, who are like-minded is actually the exact opposite of objectivity, because that shows you, by that logic, it could be anything, right? In World War II Germany, a lot of people might have been clapping for something. In China right now, a lot of people might be clapping for something. And you might say those things are objectively wrong too, but they were doing it. It didn't stop them from doing it. So this same mob of people, might be not very credible.
Okay, wait.
Hold on. I want
So if enough people clap, that makes something objective and true. And if people don't clap, that makes it not true. So
I don't want to embarrass you, Adam, but notice here. She said, "Do you want to see this like disgusting?" I go away and clap if you want to do it. And you didn't clap.
Disgusting
That
is
makes you look like a
subjective.
weirdo. You should have clapped.
Yes, of course. It's also determined by not only a mob, hysteria, emotional mentality, mindless applause, on a subjective basis, calling it disgusting, shaming the guy, calling him a weirdo. These are all objective things, right? These are not subjective or loaded or emotional or myopic. Even if you agree with the conclusion, like, okay, maybe you want to see it subjectively go away. You don't think it's a good thing. I don't personally believe in that because, like I said, it's just a reflection of certain things that people want. Anyway, similar things have existed in the past. The adult film industry exists. Like you're just scapegoating and saying, oh, if that one thing didn't exist, the entire human history of sexual obsession and ideation and all of this indulgence would just go away. But it's a bigger problem than that. You have to address that directly, right? You're looking at the symptom, not the disease.
You should have clapped.
OnlyFans is objectively.
So that is incredibly, unbelievably stupid, because you're saying something, again, it's just, so by your definition of objective, it doesn't stop it from happening. Like you would think objective is like, okay, if it's God objectively, would would say something is bad, then you wouldn't be able to do it, or God would strike you down with a bolt of lightning, or if it was objectively wrong by the laws of nature, it just wouldn't be possible, right? Those would be objective things. But to simply assert it, and then you're using mob mentality to say, oh, look, we have a crowd of people who are like-minded and on our side more, maybe, whatever. But a mob of people doesn't make something objective. Because again, at one point in history, a mob of people would have done all kinds of things that you would disagree with. So is that all it takes? Oh, you clapped, you didn't clap, you're public shamed, you're a weirdo. None of these things constitute objectivity. And again, it's not even useful. Let's just get to the conclusion, semantics aside, them obviously not knowing or being willfully ignorant of a basic word, right? The conclusion is say it's objectively wrong, but it still subjectively exists. People are still using it, practicing it, right? All of that. So being objectively wrong doesn't stop it from existing. So we would have to subjectively agree and decide what to do about it. So it doesn't matter, right? It's the same thing when people say that about morality and God. It's like, morality is objective, but we still need courts and cops and laws, and they sometimes make mistakes on a subjective level, and they sometimes wrong people get convicted, and the good people get sometimes good people get convicted who are innocent, and sometimes the killer gets away. So the point is, it's so objective that it requires our subjective enforcement of it. So to me, that it's just, I care more about the result. Like, okay, if you want to see it be taken down, that's fine. You can try to do that. There's not really a very good legal basis to do that, but you can try to make that argument. But to say it's objectively wrong and then talk about how subjective your input is, like, let's watch it once more.
Really bad in your eyes?
Yeah, for sure.
Not in my eyes, so it's not objective.
Just because you're wrong about something doesn't mean it's not.
That's convenient.
Listen,
Because you're
listen,
wrong.
if
Right or wrong
you talk to
equals.
a 3-year-old kid, he might think 2 + 2 = 5. That doesn't mean that we just throw our hands in the air and can't.
It's a very bad example because, again, that has empirical data behind it.
Not only millions or
Or yeah, I could even use this as an example too. So even if you were trying to defend it, let me play devil's advocate with it. Like, what if a woman on there, right, goes on there and makes millions of dollars, and then she gives that money to charity, or she starts a foundation and saves people's lives and cancer research and helping people who are starving. So she used that sexual obsession that people have in society, but then she channeled it to good purpose. She might not have been able to make millions of dollars any other way, or maybe they're just depressed and it helps them overcome that because she's struggling with her job and stress, and now, oh, she can do that and it's easier for her or something like that. Like, it's hard to convince people not to do it when, oh, it's just as simple sometimes as taking pictures of themselves or videos, or very basic things compared to historically things that would have been done in person, like prostitution, or you put yourself at risk of diseases or kidnapping or assault, or that's different. Now, if you can do it from the comfort of your own home and people are paying you for that, first of all, blame the audience, not the women who are doing it, right? They're meeting a demand, right? That the men, or we're assuming men and women, the majority, but the people buying into it are just as much to blame, right? So blame the audience, as I would say, but also realize that the convenience of it makes it very hard to condemn. And it's almost like you're condemning it on an antiquated level too. Because, like, if you're not putting yourself physically at risk, you're not physically doing anything like in person, then you're not at risk of, again, like STDs or getting pregnant, or again, assault, or none of that is happening. So just by simply pictures and videos, it's kind of hard to even, what is so wrong about it then, right? It might be stupid and a waste of money for people to spend their time on it, right? Which is what I would say, and that's why I would never use something like that. It doesn't even make sense, right? Why not just apply yourself and get it in person? But you know, what would be like so harmful about it, right? When this is what technology does, is it kind of makes something so convenient that now it's so safe and convenient in the sense of, like, you don't have to go in person and expose yourself to something, right, that could be dangerous. So now it's hard to even argue, like, what is so wrong about, oh, just somebody just posting a picture or a video, right? Like, that's a very hard thing to really shame or prevent. Or I even take it one step further. What if somebody's fetish or interest is something like completely psychological, like they want to be talked down to? So there might not be any nudity or explicit sexual content, or it might be something very nuanced. They like to, somebody who clicks their tongue, or somebody who snaps their fingers, or again, like bossy role play. Like, so how do you regulate that? Is that bad because they're not even doing anything actually explicit, but it's still appeasing people, gratifying people that way? So do you shame that too? Like, it's a very difficult thing to make an argument for.
Girls participating, but even more millions of men. So
I want to ask the audience a quick question. Okay.
Yeah, what if, yeah, again, OnlyFans girl makes money and then use that money to save her dying mother, pay hospital bills, give to charity, help her, make more money than she otherwise would have at all, any other way, overcome depression, stress. Like, there's so many positive things that could come out of it too.
Okay, for the guys in here, clap if you would want to see OnlyFans completely go away.
So because a mob of people claps for something, and that's what they want, even the word want would be subjective, right? This is how objectivity works. A mob of people clapping is how objectivity works. Yeah.
Okay, wait.
Hold on. I don't want to embarrass you, Adam, but notice here. She said, "Do you want to see this like disgusting?" I go away and clap if you want to do it. And you didn't clap. That makes you look like a weird.
Calling somebody weirdo, name calling is objectivity, and public shaming is objectivity. Yep.
Clap. You should have clapped.
Yeah, that's really, that has got to be one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. And again, the conclusion, you could even attack me the same way. Oh, does that mean you're defending it? I really don't care. Again, I never use it, so why would it matter to me? But I'm not the type to really argue for stuff being taken down. Like, it exists. The right way to do it would just be, don't use it. Just don't use it, right? And blame the audience if they do.